And all of a sudden here, in mind-boggling hugeness, was Jimi Hendrix. And he was dressed really wild with the boas and this weird vest. And well, I'd never seen him before, hadn't heard of him before. Just wonderful, just really unusual body language. His music, very cutting edge, even if it was the things that we'd heard, like maybe Along the Watchtower or Hey Joe or something like that I'd heard before, but then he did it a whole different style, and that gyrating.
Hendrix put on a show, the likes of which I've never seen again, partly because I didn't know what to expect. So Hendrix did his set, and I was lucky enough to be in the right position. There were a lot of photographers down there, but not as many as I really thought, so we were able to move around a little bit, and I stayed in pretty much one position, and I felt a couple of times like Jimmy was actually playing for me. And there were a couple of shots where I swear, it was like he turned around, looked at, I'm sure he wasn't looking at me, but it's the way it felt. I got a couple of real keeper shots from them.
He got what I would call unearthly sounds. Carnal, very carnal, sensuality. He capitalized on. He was a very attractive man. He had a very strong, powerful voice. He was very confident. He had, I would just say, the new sounds. Between him and Janis Joplin, that is what captivated me out of everything.
And their band was a bass player, a drummer, and Jimi Hendrix. And they made a wall of sound that seemed larger than the component parts of that band. And he really mastered the control of feedback. He had, I remember, these 3 Marshall amps that were huge, and his control, his mastery of the feedback, his both musical talent and then performance combined to just, again, it was a knockout punch at the concert.
I have a great memory, it's very vivid. I remember when he went over to the amp, these big Marshall amps, and he started doing these gyrating motions with his hips, and turned around and took the guitar and kind of threw it on the stage, in the front of the stage, and then knelt down and pulled out a can of Ronson lighter fluid and sprinkled it, and then pulled out a match with one gesture, with one match, threw it down, boom. It was choreography. Like he had rehearsed it so many times. It was so fluid. It was like Twyla Tharp had worked it out with him. I mean, it just, it was a major, probably the top choreographer in the world. That's what I remember. Everything was so smooth. And then he kneels back like this sacrifice to the gods. It's just like, wow, this is amazing. This is amazing. And Noel Redding, I'm watching kind of through his legs now. It's a little crazy what's going on. My God, he's burning his guitar. He's taking his most prized possession and he's setting it on fire. That had never happened.
Now, the only problem I had with the lighting the fire thing is that, in Los Angeles, I was hanging out with these people that were studying Indian music at UCLA and teaching India dance from India there. And they had a lot of respect for their musical instruments. So when he lit his guitar on fire, I'm like aghast, because this was like, a gorgeous art piece to me that he was destroying. So when he did that, I was like, oh, and here I am on my little perch, loving Jimi Hendrix music, but kind of aghast at that.
Jimmy picks up his guitar, and now it went from the beautiful to the ugly. And he starts swinging this thing and destroying it and hitting mic stands, and pure pandemonium breaks out. You've got the stagehands and the audio guys running up trying to grab $500 microphones. It's 1967. A $500 mic, that's a lot of money. It was crazy. And he went from this beautiful choreographed move to this just frantic rage. And I also got a picture of Jimmy backstage before he went out that night. So he's in the crowd here backstage. Nobody knows who he is. A lot of the musicians didn't even know who he was, and they didn't really particularly seek him out because they just didn't know. He was just another guy that was playing. And then right after this performance, his life changed forever. And from that moment on, he was a superstar. He's an unknown right here. In just a matter of hours, everything changed for him.